Oh, man, I can't wait till the 28th. I'm gonna make you my girlfriend. Let me tell you something.
From 1986 and part of the 90s, early 90s, a lot of people considered Mike Tyson the baddest man on the planet. Before his loss on February 11th, 1990 against Buster Douglas, a lot of people considered Mike Tyson indestructible. One of the most anticipated fights in 1990 was Evander Holyfield, who was undisputed cruiserweight champion, moved up in weight and became undisputed heavyweight champion by knocking out Buster Douglas. Him and Mike Tyson were on a collision course. It was one of the most anticipated heavyweight fights in history. But another fight that I thought was going to happen, but it never happened, was Mike Tyson against the second coming of George Foreman. I mean, you had two explosive punchers in George Foreman and Mike Tyson. There would be a lot of money to be made. Pay-per-view sales would have been off the charts. The year 1988, George Foreman fought 9 times, and it wasn't the best competition, but he won all those fights by knockout at the age of 38 years old. In 1989, George Foreman continued his winning streak. So did Tyson, who knocked out Carl the Truth Williams, and he knocked out Frank Bruno. Actually, he stopped Frank Bruno. And then 1990, George Foreman took on Jerry Cooney. He was a 9-5 favorite, scored a technical knockout of Jerry Cooney in the second round. After the destruction of Cooney, Tyson's people thought, you know what? Maybe this would be a good fight for Mike Tyson. Make a lot of money. George Foreman's knocking everybody out. But 42 days later, Tyson gets beat by Buster Douglas. But even after his loss to Buster Douglas, people at that time just figured this fight's gonna happen. On June 16th, 1990, HBO showcased Mike Tyson and George Foreman in separate fights. George Foreman fought Addison Rodriguez. He knocked him out in 2 rounds. Mike Tyson faced Henry Tillman, who beat him in the 1984 Olympic trials. He knocks out Henry Tillman in the first round. So after that, I thought HBO would put this fight together. Frank Lattazzaro had lunch with Bobby Goodman. Bobby Goodman is a longtime matchmaker for Don King. Lattazzaro asked Goodman about the Tyson-Foreman fight, and Goodman told him that Tyson is scared of George Foreman. In his words, he said he had lunch with Don King and Mike Tyson, and basically, he said George Foreman was playing everybody. Because, Bobby Goodman, Don King was probably telling Mike Tyson, look at him. He's slow and old. Easy work, man. You knock him out with 3 or 4 rounds. But I guess Mike Tyson saw something different. Stylistically, he probably didn't like the matchup. And Mike Tyson is a student of the game. He's always been a student of the game. So I know he saw the Joe Frazier fight, and he saw what George Foreman did to Frazier. Him and Frazier are similar in height. And George Foreman used to snack on small heavyweights, and I guess Tyson didn't want to be a midnight stack. So according to Don King's matchmaker, Bobby Goodman, Tyson did not want it. But if you listen to George Foreman today, he says he did not want a Tyson fight. He didn't want no part of Tyson. Also, he says Ali told him to stay away from Tyson. So it depends what day you talk to George Foreman, because I can remember back in the day, George Foreman was on TV calling for Mike Tyson any chance he got. But I do believe Ali told George Foreman to stay away from him. In quotation marks, the boy hits too hard. By the way, the articles in the description box, I couldn't put everything in this video, but you can read it. So who you got? George Foreman, Mike Tyson, 1990. Who wins? Leave your thoughts and comments below. JBZ, I'm gone.